Demon Slayer remade as a Gory 90s OVA. Are you ready to descend into the dark and mysterious what-if world? You know Demon Slayer. It's a global sensation, built on stunning digital animation and a message of holding on to hope, even when all is lost. But there was another time. A darker time. The age of VHS, when anime was a different beast altogether. If modern anime is a sleek, polished supercar, then 90s anime was a rusted-out muscle car, rebuilt in a dirty garage for one purpose: to be as loud and destructive as possible. So what if we took Tanjiro's hopeful journey and dragged it, kicking and screaming back into that era? What if Demon Slayer wasn't a modern blockbuster but a grim, nihilistic 90s OVA? Back in the late 80s and 90s, anime wasn't always about Saturday morning fun. It was often a raw, unfiltered plunge into the darkest corners of the imagination. This was the era of the original video animation, the OVA. Think of it like this. If TV anime was a sanctioned boxing match with rules and censors, OVAs were an underground fight club where creators could unleash their most brutal nightmares directly onto tape. Shows like Genocyber, Violence Jack, and Devilman weren't trying to inspire you. They were obsessed with exploring pain, body horror, and the complete collapse of the human psyche. So today, we're doing more than just changing the art style. We're not just giving the car a new paint job. We're ripping out its engine and replacing it with something monstrous. We're going to explore how the entire philosophy of Demon Slayer would be shattered and rebuilt under the grim, unforgiving rules of 90s dark fantasy. This is a thematic autopsy, where we'll see how Tanjiro's quest for hope becomes a visceral descent into hell, a story not of perseverance, but of permanent, soul-crushing loss. And if you are enjoying this deep dive into the shadows of anime What If, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more. The aesthetic shift, from digital to grime. Before we even touch the story, the world itself has to feel corrupted. Ufotable's Demon Slayer is defined by its polish. It's like a crystal-clear digital photograph. A 90s OVA would trade that in for a grainy, overexposed film reel, one that's been scratched and warped to tell a much uglier story. The first thing you'd feel is the texture. Those clean, digital lines would be gone, replaced by the beautiful imperfections of hand-drawn cell animation. Every frame would have a grimy physicality, like the difference between watching a CGI punch and feeling the grimy, concrete-scraping impact of a real street brawl. You'd see the film grain, the subtle flicker of light, and a color palette that leans into oppressive darkness. Think of the rain-slicked rot of Wicked City, or the shadow-haunted corridors of Cyber City 080808. The world would feel fundamentally hostile. Forests wouldn't be mystical, they'd be claustrophobic and menacing. Villages wouldn't be quaint stops on a journey, they'd be desperate, decaying settlements rotting on the brink of collapse. The detailed, grotesque background art of the era would paint a picture of a world that was already lost long before Tanjiro ever picked up his sword. And the demons? They wouldn't be the tragic, almost beautiful figures we know. In the 90s, they'd be treated like biological accidents dredged up from the deepest, darkest trenches of the ocean. Drawing from the nightmares of Genocyber and Apocalypse Zero, demons would be truly monstrous, asymmetrical abominations of wet flesh and splintered bone. Their transformations would be agonizingly slow, focusing on the tearing of skin and the snapping of limbs. The violence would no longer be a stylized dance. It would be brutal, sickeningly intimate, and disturbingly real. This is a world designed not to be admired, but to be survived. But this is just one vision of how this nightmare could play out. The 90s were a wild and diverse era for anime, full of boundless and often terrifying creativity. So, I have to ask you, do you enjoy these dark deep dives and what-if storylines? Subscribe and let me know your thoughts down in the comments while you get ready for part 2.